Greetings everyone, it is time for another video essay, although this one's going to be a little bit different. For those of you who don't know, my name is Callius. I also go by The 12th Kind on YouTube and the internet as a whole. And today, I wanted to do a little unscripted video essay. Essentially a vlog of sorts. Specifically, I've been spending some time on the book reader side of YouTube, and I've been having a hard time getting into video essays. Well, something that I've wanted to do is review books, but I wasn't sure how exactly to go about doing that. Well, I saw that a lot of booktubers will do this thing where it's a video essay crossed with a reading vlog. So they'll cut to the next point where they've made a bit of progress in their book and then talk about it a bit more. So with that minute-long discussion, clarification out of the way, I would like to talk about the books I will be reading for this video. These are videos that I picked up at a store at my local mall called Bin Drop. It's basically if every Saturday was Black Friday and then the rest of the week, except for Friday, is just scavenging the remains. And they had a couple of tubs full of books. And I got 3 books. Operator Handbook, basically a thing about how to do the hacks for different services. I thought it was neat. And then 2 books that I very much judged by their cover, and I'm going to be reading them to see if they hold up to my expectations. First one is by John Les Croat, called The Vig, and I was concerned that maybe the Vig was like a slur for something, and it turns out it's just it's just a code word that means interest on a loan, usually paid to like the mafia or a loan shark. And then the other one that I will be reading is 2204 Hunter Lane, by Marie France Ledger. So both of these I just picked up on a whim. At first I thought the title was just 2204, and I was like, oh man, a sci-fi novel. And I was like thumbing through the pages. I was like, this doesn't seem very sci-fi. And then I looked closer and I was like, oh, it's an address, because I can read. But just thumbing through the books, I'll definitely have an easier time reading this because the font is just something that's a little easier on my eyes. And then this one is obviously a very old book. You can tell just by how yellowed the pages are. But who knows? It might be interesting. I'm gonna be making tabs in the book as I go forward to see, to mark things that I think might be interesting. So yeah, the next clip that you'll see, I will have gotten a little bit ways into the Vig. And I'll let you know what my first impressions are.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Alright, I think it's time for a check-in. I'm almost a third of the way through this book. I thought I was gonna DNF it at a third of the way through, but I don't know. I don't want to say the book has sunk its teeth in me because I'm still a little wary. More flags have been added. Let's see, where did we leave off? I think it was around okay, so I think we had I flagged that some kid was introduced, Guadalupe Watson. I don't think he's ever coming back, but I flagged him just in case. And then we had the introduction of Franny Cochran, who is Hardy's bar coworker's sister. So Hardy works at the bar called the Little Shamrock. He has a coworker named Moses, and Franny is Moses's sister, and she had married someone. I blue flagged a couple of things. One thing on page 64, Hardy couldn't get the till to balance, and he had continued to pour some pretty shabby drinks, gin and coke, rum and ginger ale. Thinking about it made him shudder. He'd started 3 black and tans backwards, forgetting that while Guinness floats on base ale, the opposite wasn't true. I blue flagged that because, oh shit, fuck, I dropped my friggin' bookmark. I blue flagged it because, like, I've worked in retail, and I've done merch gig opportunities, and there have been a couple of times where I just couldn't get the till to balance, and it was like, it's not fun. Now the reason for, him being distracted is because he is convinced that Louis Baker is out to kill him, which I have reason to believe that Louis Baker is not the actual antagonist. He was set up that way early on, but now I'm convinced it's someone else entirely. As a reminder, green flags are always like a what the fuck kind of moment. So just a few pages later in 67, it's revealed that, Hardy had left his convertible just wide open, which I get he's distracted, but you would think someone who is as concerned about his safety as he is, he would have remembered to put the top down. Well, anyways, someone went into his glove compartment and just dug through all the papers there, probably looking for any sort of identification to confirm that that is Hardy's vehicle and to figure out where exactly Hardy lives. And then later on page 71, we've got yet another red flag. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 red flags put in here. The first one of these 4, they were sitting at a tea table. This is Hardy is at Franny's place, and basically Franny is just pressing Hardy over and over again. Why are you so convinced that Louis Baker is the one who attacked Rusty Ingram and the chick he was seeing? And Hardy is just like, I just know it. And Franny's like, why? Outside of one threat he made 10 years ago, you have all this information that he is a changed man. He's not someone who fooled anyone back in the day, and now you're convinced he fooled everyone. Why is that? And then there's this moment, bottom of 71. They were sitting at a teak table in a round breakfast nook off the kitchen. Hardy looked past Franny down the hill to a school bus stop at the corner. A dozen or so students were milling around, mostly black kids. For a moment, Hardy wondered if his certainty about Baker might possibly have to do with his color. There were other possibilities, things that might have happened there on Rusty's barge, but the overwhelming probability was Baker. Hardy didn't base his suspicions on Baker's race. Helglitsky was half black, and Abe was one of his best friends. The classic, oh, I can't be racist, I have black friends. And then just like 2 pages later, here we go. Top of 73, now someone was trying to kill him, and he didn't want to suspect him for the wrong reasons. She got up and went around behind him, putting her hands on his shoulders. You and I both know you're not a racist, she said. Not even close. Hardy shrugged. I don't know. I don't think of it as an issue anymore. Maybe that means I don't care about it. All I know is that Baker was an animal 10 years ago, and we put him in a cage, and he swore when he got out, he'd kill me and Rusty is dead and gone the day he gets out. What would you think? How much more evidence would you need? I would need a lot more evidence, to be honest. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, I don't know. A little suspect. And then flash forward to page 76. There's apparently a whole thing where the head honcho for homicide, like, he has an office filled with very expensive furniture, and someone went in with actual chickens and just tore up the place and, like, let them shit all over the place. And so the boss is very upset about that, and Lieutenant Batiste takes Abe aside, and, you know, this whole story seems to be about people having it stuck in their heads that somebody did a thing and will not accept an alternative reality, because here on 76, you know, Batiste is raking Abe Glitsky over the coals for having destroyed the boss's apartment, and his justification for why he thinks Glitsky did it is because Glitsky is the only person in the department who's applying to move elsewhere, and he described the working conditions as chicken shit, which is not true. Glitsky said horse shit, and Batista is trying to say that, you know, it's the same difference. I red flagged that, and I also blue flagged that, because I know it's what it's like to have someone just rake you over the coals because they are convinced that you did something wrong, even though you were not responsible in the slightest. So it's red flagged and blue flagged for that reason. Shortly after that, we get introduced to another named character, Hector Medina, who is an ex-cop working security at a hotel. After that, we switch over, I think, chapter 7 starts off with Louis Baker, at his home, and a police officer. He's just called the Man, but I'm pretty sure it's Glitsky, because at, like, the end of 6, Hardy just, basically begs Glitsky to go talk to Baker, and what ensues is a police officer harassing the shit out of Baker, and as it probably stands, he probably didn't do literally anything wrong, because he, as it stands, this is the start of the 3rd day that he's out from prison, and he has a strong alibi of being at the home, because he basically, when he got off the bus, he went straight to Mama's, and then for like the following few days, he's been at that house working on trying to freshen it up. So I'm pretty convinced that Baker didn't do it, especially since at like the start of 5 or 6, we are introduced to a loan shark, and that loan shark having a hitman. So now I'm pretty convinced that it's the loan shark, because otherwise why the fuck would it be called the Vig if your main antagonist is not the loan shark? But it's written in such a way where it'll like introduce a character and then expect you to forget about them, which is why I have the flags. And then I stopped around 96, which is shortly like before a 3rd in. Also right before that, like a few pages before my bookmark, we get introduced to another character, Officer William Ling, who is brand new to the force. he is a Chinese American, and it talks about, you know, some of the discrimination that he's faced. So the book got off to a really awful start, if I'm being honest. When I worked when I worked a merch gig this past Friday, and I was waiting for the show to finish so people would come back and continue to buy merch. I decided to chat with one of the campus security guards because I was bored and I wanted to talk to someone about this freaking book. And I looked up, and this author had written 30 crime novels, and if I understand the wiki correctly, they're all centered around the same like sort of characters. So this is like his, like in the timeline, this is like his 10th or 11th book. I said to the security officer, I was like, this book just feels average. Like there's overwhelming, there's underwhelming, I'm just whelmed. And she was like, well, maybe that's just an average one of his books. And I was like, maybe, but I don't want to go out of my way to try to find more books by this author and try to read them, because this man has written 30 fucking books. So, I don't know. I think at this point I just need a little bit more information. And once I can like get that bit more of information and be able to say definitively who murdered him, then I'll just skip to the end of the book, read who the perpetrator is, and then still label as did not finish because I didn't read, the middle. I just read the beginning and then skip to the end, basically. But at this point, I'm just not sure. I'm pretty sure the loan shark did it. I'm pretty sure he sent a hitman to Rusty. But it's like, as it stands right now, there's a lot of people being harassed that shouldn't be harassed. But I think that's pretty standard, because the people doing the harassing are all fucking cops. So, fun. But yeah, I will check in. The next clip I'll give will probably be when I've decided to DNF this book. Alright, attempt number 2 recording this clip. So, like I said in the last clip, which was recorded several days prior, I think, I said I was going to DNF this book. I saw the writing on the walls, or the pages, and I was like, I'm not going to like this book. And to my credit, I did see it through all the way to chapter 9. I read a little bit into chapter 9. That's when I just dropped it. It's not great. It's definitely a product of its time. This is kind of why I don't read crime novels, is they're either propaganda, racist, a bit of the two. There's like... I will, if you for some reason want to read this book, I did put up a page on it on Does the Dog Die? The Vig book, 1990. And I did that because a dog does die, and there is a assault that happens, because basically the personal hitman for the loan shark got a woman to take out a loan for a nose job, and she was struggling to pay the VIG, and so what he does is he forces her to let him do things to her, and she very much clearly hates it. It's non-consensual at all. And I just, at that point I was like, I'm done. I stopped flagging things because I just couldn't be bothered. Like, as soon as I stopped flagging things, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is the end. So, what happened to Ingram? Well, my suspicions were right. I did jump forward in the book to confirm that my suspicions were indeed right. But basically, Ingram took out a loan from the loan shark, and he was missing VIG payments, and so Johnny LaGuardia is sent to go kill him. The woman he was sleeping with, that was just an unfortunate casualty of war or whatever. Not casualty of war, but collateral, you know. And there's still a lot of pressure being put on Louis Baker. We do get another scene with Baker where it shows that he still has, you know, a lot of residual, like, anger pent up from being put in jail, and how he really resents Hardy and Ingram for it. But it's very obvious that despite all those things, Baker didn't kill Ingram. Like, it's just obvious. Because Baker is on the, like, opposite side of the city. You know, he's over in the projects. He's nowhere near the coastline, much less near that barge area where Ingram was staying. But yeah. So for the first time ever, I am DNFing a book. And it's a book that I own that I'm not that I'm officially DNFing. I do have a lot of unfinished books on my shelf, but that's the thing, they're unfinished, meaning that eventually I will read them. But as it stands, I have not read them yet. And good friggin' lord, I hate that. So, what's next? Well, I'm going to start reading 2204 Hunter Lane. I'm not sure when this book came out. Let's check. 2022. Interesting. There's an author playlist. Interesting. But no table of contents. Oh my god, why? So I'm not sure about 2204 Hunter Lane. Again, this whole thing is about books that I have. That's 449 pages. Jesus fuck. This whole video is about the fact that I am judging these books harshly because I picked them up based off of their covers. So my final score for the VIG by John Lescrote, 0 out of 5. Do not recommend. Fucking awful. And it's gonna stay on my shelf as a reminder, as I can't do worse than this. So, yeah. Good lord.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Wow, I actually look presentable in this clip. So, couple of things. One, I did start 2204 Hunter Lane, and you notice there are no flags because I got tired of flagging things. In fact, it's still down here. The VIG killed me on flagging things in a fiction book, especially with how many red flags there were. So 2204 Hunter Lane. I looked it up on Goodreads because I was adding genres to my novel library sheet, and I wanted to know what genre to put on this. Romance, apparently, because I never looked at the back. That's a big thing. Also, like, what is this? This is, there was a sticker on it from the store that I bought this from, so I tried to take that off. I need lighter fluid or rubbing alcohol to get the rest off. But yeah, if I had read the back, I would have known that this is a romance, and there are 45 chapters, and the chapters are relatively short, and it bounces between the perspectives of two characters, Marley and Hunter, and it will tell you whose perspective it is, which is nice. God, what do I even say about this book? It's a book. That's for damn sure. You see, I'm about a fourth of the way through, which is roughly where I was in the VIG when I decided to DNF it. Maybe more like a fifth. But I took a break from this book just because I'm really sick of Hunter's shit. So the thing about Hunter is that he's traumatized by the death of his mother. I get it. You know, we all will get traumatized by the death of a loved one. But instead of going to therapy like a person, he goes out drinking every night, drives drunk, trying to get himself killed, and if he picks up someone, then he might end up killing the other person, which he doesn't think about because he's a moron. Everyone in this story is either an idiot or an asshole, or in some cases both. God, man, it's a book. That's all I can really say about it. I'm not sure when I'm gonna DNF it, but I have a feeling that I might eventually DNF it. Just because it's not great. It's not written that well. I don't think it's self-published, is it? I think I saw like copyright was like, this publisher's note. Oh, there's an author's playlist, so like there's music that the author like listened to like write this copyright. Oh, interesting. So one thing I didn't realize, there's a content warning on this first page. There has like a thing: to all those who forget to live while they're still alive, you matter. And then at the bottom, this story is inspired by true events. Trigger warning: drunk driving, alcohol abuse, loss of a loved one, mental health / insecurity, body image, and toxic family dynamic. Interesting. I didn't know that. Because I saw like a quote and I was like, yeah, whatever. But I didn't realize fine print at the bottom, there's a content warning. That would have been interesting to see. It's so small. For context, the book I'm writing has just a fucking whole page that's going to be dedicated to content warnings. And I have a friend of mine who's going to edit that when I'm finally friggin' done. And I'm gonna ask them for like content warnings to put on there. But yeah, so interesting. That also like very graphic depictions of different forms of sex. So if you don't like that, this book is not for you. But also, I haven't heard of a romance book where it doesn't get descriptive about sex. So maybe there are books out there that don't. But this is one of those books that's like, hey, do you want intimate descriptions of a blowjob? And I'm like, no, I don't. And the book was like, too bad. Here you go. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. I'm just kind of like flipping through the pages, see if it activates any neurons. There's 2 characters in this book that I like. Only 2. Scratch that 3. Peyton, Hunter's stepmom, he hates her with a passion, as if she was responsible for his mom's death, which she isn't. And also, you know, he's stupid. And then Kramer is someone who works at Peyton's store, and he is a sweetheart. Peyton and Kramer are sweethearts. And then Hunter's best friend, Josh, is a pretty decent dude. Like, he's trying to help Hunter with his mental health the best way that he can. Of course, this is in the middle of Nebraska, in a small town that I'm not even sure if they describe what kind of schools that they have. But yeah, so little spoiler, because I've just gotten in the habit with this book and now this book, I've decided to jump ahead randomly to see if certain suspicions are true, just because this book is not good, in my opinion. But Hunter's, the biggest thing I was looking for, everything else I just ignored, was, does Hunter eventually get his license revoked? And the answer is yes. So that's good to know. You would think that, like, the town would have like a sheriff or whatever, and he would catch wind of Hunter always driving drunk, and he would have revoked his license a long time ago. Not the case. But you know, what can you do? Do anything else? I think it tries to paint some of like Marley's life decisions as like, oh, she can't help it, she's lashing out because her parents are like those New Yorker elites, which, like, I get it, you know, getting a lot of pressure from your parents sucks. It sucks, a big one. But like, she hooked up, like, her background, like her backstory, her lore is she met a dude at like a party or something, and she hooked up with him once and then was like, this is what true love is, and then ran off to Nebraska with him, and turns out he was a lazy, stupid bum. And so they lived off of lottery winnings and her inheritance until she found definitive proof of him cheating on her with his ex. And so she just packs up her clothes and leaves. And that's like the backstory. which, all right, I know we can all, no human is incapable of doing stupid things, so there's plausible deniability there. Now that I've seen that the line, going back to this, now that I see this story is inspired by true events, I'm now wondering whose events, whose life is this based off of? Like, what? Let's see. Acknowledgements. For starters, I need to thank the real life Hunter Lane. Thank you for being the muse of my story, for providing me with a different perspective on life and every situation that comes with it. Next, my family. Mom, thank you for all of your support, even when I know the content of this book is too raunchy for your eyes to read. My brother, for giving me the time to vent out all my frustration. And my best friends, Rachel and Mariah, who constantly lift me up and believe in me with all that they have. Steph, my aunt and editor, you're the biggest help when it comes to my writing process. Without you, it'd be nothing but a girl with a dream. Grandpa, grand-pa. Grandpa is one word, but okay. Well, you won't understand a damn thing I write, but thank you all the same for being my biggest fan. The real Winter Camden, you know who you are. Summer, I just need to thank you for the endless FaceTime calls you allow me to bore you with. You hype me up more than I deserve. Bless your fucking heart. And lastly, I need to thank you, the readers, the people who gave me this platform to interact with me along this journey. Always remember your place in the world comes with purpose, hope, and love. Don't ever forget while you're still alive. Author note, reviews mean everything. I love talking to my readers, so please don't hesitate. Highly encourage you to leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads. Of all the pieces, this has been my favorite. And something very near and dear to my heart. What? What? Okay. For starters, I need to thank the real life Hunter Lane. Thank you for being the muse to my story, for providing me with a different perspective on life and every situation. Is this based off of her life? Okay, maybe I'll add some brownie points. I'm definitely going to add brownie points for the trigger warning, but I'm going to take one brownie point away because it's so small. Literally flip through and you'll miss it. Alright. Gosh. It's probably because the book, I will admit, like, because of the characters, specifically the cunt. The character of Hunter Lane. You know, this has been a bit of a drag to read, but I might read a bit more. I might get over halfway. But I know this video is running long, so this is my first time ever doing one of these videos, but like a book review. The next time I do one of these, I will try to like be more succinct with my thoughts. But this isn't turning into a book review channel. I do have other books I would like to review in the form of video essays, but those will be much more succinct. But I might want to try to do more of like this sort of loose vlog / video essay / review style in the future. But that's going to be it, I think, for this video. I might do a follow-up video in the future where I talk about my thoughts on this, because I have to pause this because I have a bunch of other books that have been waiting before this to be read. I will say though, this is a better book than this, okay? Like, the amount of red flags in here, much lower than the red flags in here. This one was just awful. This one, all right. But that is going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. Oh gosh, I don't even know what the next video essay is going to be because I'm trying to figure that out. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. Peace. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the bell to receive notifications. And if you're able, consider supporting me on Patreon or Ko-fi. Links below. Thank you for your support.